As we watch that missile lift off, good news here. President Trump says Iran and Israel have agreed to a ceasefire, but the U.S. will stay on alert after U.S. forces were targeted by Iran today. They launched a retaliatory missile strike against the U.S. airbase in Qatar.
This is in retaliation for the U.S. bombing Iran's 3 nuclear sites over the weekend. Thankfully, no Americans were harmed in today's attack. President Donald Trump saying that 13 of Iran's 14 missiles were intercepted and hardly any damage was done.
So with news of the ceasefire, 12 News journalist Sean Rice joins us to explain what may be the most pressing threats we may see here in the U.S. What'd you find, Sean?
Yeah, despite this talk of a ceasefire, or at least what President Trump claims is an agreement of a ceasefire, and in the midst of this conflict here in the Middle East, there is, of course, growing fear that Iran is activating so-called sleeper cells. These are groups often united by a religious creed that may lie in waiting until called upon by their foreign government. And while there are no credible threats right here in Arizona, federal agencies are asking for vigilance from U.S. citizens. Now, the Department of Homeland Security, they released this yesterday. It is a national terrorism advisory bulletin. In it, DHS warns of a heightened threat environment here in the United States. They say those threats could mean extremists potentially mobilizing in Arizona and all across the United States. Now, former Army Commander Atlas Altman tells me, he now lives in the Valley, but he says homegrown terrorism can often come in many forms. It could be electronically through internet hackings, or could be through physical violence towards Americans. From the intelligence he's been receiving, the threat level remains high here in the States, but likely not for mass casualty events.
There's less of a concern for a super violent breakout and more of a concern of a potential one-on-one attack that turns into something really bad. And I hate to see that. And I hate to see that, what that looks like. But keeping your head on the swivel, making sure that you're aware of what's going on and keeping your head out of your phone is what I would advise everyone to do. Because if there's trouble, you can usually see it pretty far away.
And Altman tells me the locations that should remain the most vigilant are Jewish synagogues, businesses that may have Israeli ownership, and military bases or installations here in Arizona. There is hope among veterans like Altman that these warnings from the Department of Homeland Security will stay just that, warnings, and that no violence will come here to the United States. And perhaps with word of a ceasefire agreement in the last couple of hours in place, that will become a reality.